So in order to understand this guy Vlad and why he was so obsessed with impaling his enemies onto stakes and parading them around the city, you need to understand the world that he was born into, all right? And that year was 1431. And Europe, as always, was being torn apart. So the Ottoman Empire was expanding westward, and it was just unstoppable. One by one, these Christian kingdoms were falling, and Constantinople, the legendary Byzantine capital that stood for over 1,000 years, was on the verge of collapse. The balance of power between Christianity and Islam was shifting dramatically, and caught directly in the middle of this struggle was a little region that we call Wallachia, and the small principality that basically served as a buffer zone between the Ottoman Empire and the Christians in Hungary. Now, Wallachia's position made it valuable to both sides, but it was also incredibly dangerous to rule. So every prince who sat on the throne had to perform a constant balancing act, trying to keep both of these powerful neighboring countries with these different ideologies and political forces satisfied while maintaining some independence. I think there's probably an analog with Poland here, right? You have Western hegemony
Hegemony.
Oh my goodness. Thank you, Christos. This is why I keep you around. Western hegemony of, like NATO forces in Western Europe. And then you have, obviously, the USSR/Russia on the east side, and Poland is just, poor Poland, just stuck in the middle. And as a result, Poland today has a very robust military. So this is kind of what Vlad was dealing with, just the ancient version of that. So this was the inheritance that was waiting for Vlad, not just the throne, but also a deadly political situation where one wrong move means invasion, assassination, losing your entire nation to, ambitious Christians in Hungary, or, the strong and courageous Muslims that are coming from the other side. So winter came to a small town known as Sighiswara in Transylvania in 1431, and in a stone house marked with a dragon symbol, a woman gave birth to a baby boy named Vlad. His father, also Vlad II of Dracul, belonged to an elite order of Christian knights called the Order of the Dragon. Ugh, that's awesome, right? And the word Dracul literally means dragon in Romanian, so people naturally called his son Dracula, the son of the dragon. It's kind of like a cute little nickname, It's like Chicharito, That's all it is. Josito, that's all. But it's Dracula-ito. Now, young Vlad is growing up, learning the harsh realities of medieval politics and how to govern a tenuous nation-state stuck between Iraq and a hard place. But get it? That's pretty good. Now, as you can imagine, power in this situation comes from one source, and that's fear. And you need people to fear you. And fear came from the ability to inflict pain. But the real lesson that would shape him into the monster that we know and love today hadn't started yet. Everything changes in 1442 when Vlad is 11 years old. Sultan Murad II invited Vlad's father to what was supposed to be a diplomatic meeting. But, as most of these diplomatic meetings tend to be, whether it's Montezuma or others, it was a trap. And the moment that Vlad Dracul crossed into Ottoman territory with his two youngest sons, 11-year-old Vlad and 7-year-old Radu, the guards arrested them. The Sultan gave Dracul an impossible choice. Leave your sons here as prisoners to guarantee your loyalty, or watch us execute them immediately. Now, Dracul chose to save himself. He rode away, and he left his own flesh and blood behind in the Ottoman Empire. Literally, he did the meme. Leave your kids 2-3 years, Ottoman Empire, forget. He left them, bro, and he forgot them. Isn't that crazy? And these guys just started learning UFC, jiu-jitsu. This is old school Dagestan, is what I'm saying. Now, Vlad watched his, father kind of just disappear into the distance, and that moment ended his childhood. He literally was stuck there. Now, the Ottoman court claimed that they treated noble prisoners very well. They offered education in multiple languages and philosophy and military tactics, and this proved true for Radu, who adapted really quickly. He learned Turkish, converted to Islam, and became a favorite in the court. But Vlad, he refused to cooperate. He was not playing ball. He insulted his tutors, and he wouldn't study the Quran, and he attacked other prisoners who mocked Christianity, and he just stuck to his guns. The Ottomans had methods for, breaking stubborn children. And typically it would be things like timeout and spanking and starvation and beating and isolation and other stuff that wasn't great, okay? But Vlad wouldn't bend. Now, during his captivity, Vlad witnessed something that would define his future, all right? The Ottomans used impalement as an execution in this time period. This was a method for special enemies, people who deserved not just death, but days of public suffering. So young Vlad, around 12 years old, watched as executioners made this process last as long as possible. He observed how keeping the stake dull prevented a quick death, and he learned that the proper angling could keep victims alive for days at a time. And, as a child, he stood there memorizing every detail of this traumatic and horrific sight. Meanwhile, back in Wallachia, disaster struck. Like I said, this region is stuck between two empires that are very angry. So the Ottomans were cool because they had these, these children in prison, and Dracul was loyal to the Ottomans, but that didn't stop the Hungarians, specifically a Hungarian regent called John Hunyadi. Now, Vlad's older brother, Mircea II, was captured in the capital city, and Mircea II was seized by local nobles and members of the Saxon elite, and they basically turned against the House of Dracul in favor of Hunyadi's candidate for the throne. So Mircea, literally Vlad's older brother, is captured and tortured, and he's blinded with red-hot iron pokers that are going into his eyes, and they subsequently bury him alive. Pretty brutal stuff. Now, Vlad II, a.k.a. Dracul, the father, was then assassinated shortly thereafter in the marshes nearby. And so 16-year-old Vlad receives the news from, basically inside of his Ottoman captivity that he's been fighting, and his reaction disturbed the guards. He didn't cry. He didn't rage. The cruelty that Vlad endured and witnessed turned him into a monster. He was formed in the darkness, and as a result, had no reaction and just disassociated, buried it deep down, and that rage was burning inside of him. The Ottomans didn't realize what 6 years of, imprisonment / noble torture, if you can call it that, had created. It didn't create a broken child. It made something far more dangerous.